From the Oklahoman newsroom, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. It's all Thunder all the time, and our Thunder postgame coverage is brought to you by J. Marshall Square, Oklahoma City's only big house apartment community. Barry, all Thunder all the time, as I said. We're 2 games into this playoff series with Dallas, and obviously everybody after Game 2 is talking about Kevin Durant and all the shooting struggles. What stands out to you? What troubles you, if anything, about the performance we saw out of Durant?
Well, I mean, I think it's a case of Durant just got frustrated. I think he felt a pretty big burden. The worse the shooting got, the more he tried to shoot himself out of it. I don't think this is a carryover situation. I thought Russell Westbrook had one of the more insightful things to say, which is, you know, I've been around this guy a long time. I can guarantee you it's not going to happen again. It will happen again, not in this series, not in this playoffs. He's not going to go 7 of 33 for crying out loud for forever how long. But it was troubling that, you know, that Durant just sort of reacted to the discouragement. He reacted to the bad night by exasperating the problem, which was, to me, just trying to shoot himself. Quick shots. He acted like every time he got the ball, the shot clock was about to expire. He'd fire off quickly. Didn't really let the offense come to him as much as he usually does. He lost his playmaking. You know, he had 2 assists, but he's usually good for more than that. So, you know, it's just a terrible night. And still the Thunder, you know, lost by 1 point and 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it's a pain in the butt to lose a game like that. I don't think it's going to cost them the series. I think Thunder still wins easy. Yeah,
I do too. Yeah, and I think that it is likely that Kevin Durant plays well in Game 3, well in Game 4. We may still see a little bit of signs of that shooting struggle in Game 3. I went back and looked at some of his past off nights he's had in the last 5 years. Last night, Game 2 was his 6th time he was under 30%. So he's played a ton of games in 5 years, and only 6 times has he been under that 30% mark. One of those games was a closeout game, so he didn't get a comeback game. But in the other 4 that we've seen so far, 2 of them he shot under 50%. Not as bad as he had, but not great games. But 2, he shot over 50%, including a game that he came back after a woeful performance with a 77% shooting percentage night. So he's very capable of coming back with a big game. But even if it's not this game, he's a shooter, Barry. He's a scorer. He's going to come back and score. But as you mentioned, only 2 assists, 7 turnovers, Barry. While we know he's a shooter, we also see the trend that he turns the ball over. And they're not using campaign necessarily in some of these lineups. That means Kevin Durant's got the ball in his hands. That, to me, is as troubling as anything about what we saw at Game 2.
And that's been a season-long trend, basically. I mean, we've seen Durant's turnovers really increase, and to some serious numbers, the 6, 7, 8 turnover range.
There was a 9-game turnover.
So, you know, that is not good, and it is a case of too much ball handling from Durant. You know, he dribbles well. He handles the ball well for a guy 6'11". Doesn't mean he handles the ball well. So you know, pick his spots. You know, take his chances. But, you know, just in terms of just dribbling sort of haphazard at all time, you know, when Russell Westbrook has 6, 7, 8 turnovers, you can sort of live with it because he plays so fast.
Right.
He has the ball so much. Right. He's always trying to do something. Usually it's good. Sometimes it backfires. But that's not the kind of player Kevin Durant is. And when his turnovers get up in there, it leads to problems. And on a night when the Thunder was playing great defense, except for maybe the first 5 minutes and a little stretch in the 4th quarter, Dallas really didn't get any easy baskets except off of Thunder turnovers.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if the fix to some of those turnover woes is getting campaign in that lineup with Durant. Durant had 4 of his 7 turnovers in Game 2 in the 2nd quarter, and that's the time when you see some of that staggering where you don't have a backup point guard in the game, and that's where a bulk of his turnovers were, when he did have the ball in his hands more. So I think that, you know, they're going to have to look pretty seriously at that, because you don't want to give away those possessions. When you've got as good a rebounders as the Thunder does in Steven Adams and especially Enes Kanter on the offensive end, not getting a shot up off the rim is just such a lost opportunity, because it's often those guys are going to go get it and put it back in the hole. So to have turnovers, to have missed possessions where you don't even have a chance for your rebounders to go get the ball. It's deadly when you're talking about games that come down to 1 point, when you're talking about close calls. They've got to take better care of the ball, and frankly, that may mean taking it out of the hands of Kevin Durant.